almost so close. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Wildcards. I'm your host, Mike Lafferty, here with Ross Watson, who's also your host of this show. How you doing, Ross?
I'm good. How are you?
I am all right. I'm all right. And I wanted to mention, especially appropriate, that this show is brought to you by the fine folks at Star Anvil Studios. And I'm trying to show their logo as our background. And of course, our faces are on top of that. So I will work on that. But let's do our delightful musical intro. Just 1 second. I was letting that song play and it just kept going. So the musical montage you just witnessed assures you that you are investing a high quality, high production values podcast. None of that shady, made in China, formulated by AIs, podcast content here. This is all created by humans right here in the good old US of A. And
I should introduce our guests, if you don't
we
mind.
should. I have been terribly negligent. Please forgive me, Mr. Bill the Bunny Keys. Thank you so much for coming out today, sir.
So
Hi, guys.
those of you out there who are Savage Worlds fans may know Bill from quite a few different products. I've worked with Bill on a number of occasions, and I'm very proud to call him both a friend and a colleague on this particular thing we're going to talk about tonight. But Bill, why don't you share some of your highlights? I know that the Winding Gyre is one of your projects, and
Yeah.
Nocturne and Blood and Justice as well.
Yeah, well, Savage Worlds fans might know me from The Winding Gyre. Like you said, it's a magical steampunk system setting. I released a few years ago. It was one of my best sellers, honestly. A lot of people seem to like it a lot. More recently, I've been working on a setting called Blood and Justice, using the Prowlers and Paragons superhero system. It's a dark superhero, kind of on the lines of the Netflix Daredevil or Luke Cage series, set in a very dangerous and haunted town called Nocturne. And of course, like, we've worked together on a number of projects as well. Yeah.
So, yes, I wanted to say I've actually played in almost every one of Bill's settings, I think, at this point. And they're all really great, so be sure to go check them out. But we brought Bill to talk about a project that is actually near and dear to my heart, and that is a book called Enemies Unleashed. It's the brand new release from Star Anvil Studios, and it's kickstarting right now, actually, until August 23rd.
And if you look at the border that's gracefully scrolling beneath Bill's face, tinyurl.com/enemies unleashed will take you directly to that Kickstarter page, and it's short enough I can say it on the air in a relatively short amount of time. So check it out. You've got 2 weeks left? 3 weeks left? 2.5 weeks left.
13 days, I think, so just about 2 weeks.
Yeah. So should we start off with the amazing art you guys have? Because you've got some amazing art in this book.
Big shout out to my partner, Brandon Verhalen, who is the art director on this project. He got some really good pieces turned in for this. And I should really talk about. Sorry, go ahead, Bill.
I was just going to say, I was agreeing. It's amazing art.
So what is Enemies Unleashed?
Enemies Unleashed?
Thank you. I'm so glad you asked.
I was just wondering, who are these enemies and how are they leashed and how do they become unleashed?
So, yeah, Enemies Unleashed is a book of supervillains for your Savage World Supers campaign. It is inspired by Bill and I are both big fans of a game system called Champions from back in the day, and Champions had what were called enemies books, and those enemies books were books of supervillains. I've always wanted to do one, and Enemies Unleashed is a homage to that particular flavor. So you've got a bunch of supervillains who have escaped during a prison break, which is the unleashed part. And that means the villains are all kind of tied together by this one story element that you can place into your own superhero campaign very easily. The villains are all, of course, highly detailed with information about their abilities and their backgrounds and whether or not they can be redeemed and if they can be redeemed. And how, I guess I should say. And Bill came up with one of the guys here on the cover, as a matter of fact.
That's this guy looks like. Well, tell us about him. He's the fellow in the orange shirt right there on the right-hand side, right, sir?
Yeah, the large-looking guy. He's called the Red Dragon, and he's called that because he literally is a red dragon. He was in a fantasy universe, multiverse somewhere. He was the most ancient and most powerful of the dragons that live there until he got banished from that world by a powerful wizard, and he ended up in this world where he quickly became where he quickly decided that he wanted to go home, of course, but he, let's make the best of a bad situation. He became a very powerful crime lord who calls himself either Mr. Red or the Red Dragon. And
did he also star in A Green Mile?
Yeah.
No? Okay.
He's incredibly powerful. He's probably, at least, if not the most powerful, then one of the most powerful villains in the book. He is definitely not somebody that you want to go toe-to-toe with. And he's even more powerful because, of course, he's got, as a crime lord, he's got a whole bunch of mooks and minions and whatnot that work for him.
And money.
And money.
Well, he's got a dragon's sword.
Yeah. So, sort of a super-powered fantasy background, Kingpin?
Yeah, the thing about Red Dragon that I like is that this book actually presents like a wide variety of power levels. Some of the villains are like, a fun little fight for your heroes. Some of them are kind of like a nuisance or a little guy you might run into on your way to another crime scene. And some of them are, holy crap, we better not mess with this guy. And Red Dragon is on that level. He's one of the ones that's going to take more than just a few punches to bring in to justice.
Okay. Yeah, Red Dragon is the kind of character, kind of villain that you could actually build a whole campaign around. You could start out where the heroes are dealing with some kind of supernatural or fantasy type issue, like goblins are attacking or a manticore is destroying the docks or something like that. And then they could build up over multiple games to find out who the real villain is, the Red Dragon, and eventually try to bring him down.
Red Dragon's contacts, of course, with the underworld were very important for the breakout from the jail.
Yeah. That is pretty cool. Can we talk about the rest of the guys on the cover too?
Sure. Who would you like to talk about next?
Well, you'd mentioned cute little guys you might run into on the way to a more important mission. And I was thinking this Archie or Jimmy looking fella up here with the baseball cap and the little, I'm guessing those are his devices floating around him?
They are, yes.
Yeah. So who is this guy?
All right. So that guy and the power suit next to him actually is Clockwork Man.
Okay.
And Clockwork Man is basically, imagine the most annoying teenager you can, and then give him a genius level intellect and a devious affinity for creating large mechanical monstrosities. And that's this kid. He built the power suit that is known to the world as Clockwork Man, but he got a little too full of himself. Ended up getting captured and put into the prison. His power suit was powered down and put into the like little vault there for your personal belongings. He is maybe just a little bit above a nuisance. Like the Clockwork suit is powerful. Probably a fun, brief challenge for a superhero team on his own.
Okay. And I appreciate you guys giving Sarah Michelle Gellar some work. It's been a while since she's here on the left-hand side. Let's talk about who she's playing in your book.
All right, so that is Galatea. So Galatea is that's one of my characters. She is a take on the Hulk. Galatea is a created being, like an android, made out of very highly advanced nanomachines. So she is far stronger and far more difficult to hurt than she might appear. However, her android body was intended to house a incredibly brilliant mind, but a jealous AI got involved, screwed up some of her programming, and now she's kind of this childlike intelligence, not unlike the old Green Hulk, who is mostly fine if she's left alone, but the moment you start kind of giving her grief, she could go on a rampage and tear the city down around your ears.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. It looks like next to her we have a fire-based character. Am I right about that?
That's correct. That's Pangea. That is a great character, one of my favorites, I believe, created by Bill Coffin. And Pangea is a mutant. She is a woman who is basically born with the ability to create earthquakes and control magma and cover her body in a sheath of flame and stone. She is kind of a version of Magneto, if you will, if Magneto had fire and ground powers instead of magnet powers. And she is kind of like Magneto. She is kind of a tragic figure in that she really didn't want to become a villain, but felt forced into it because the world just couldn't deal with the magnitude of the power at her command. She accidentally, killed her own parents when the powers manifested, and her earthquakes are one of the major reasons that the prison was breached in the first place.
This is pretty cool stuff. Well, hey, let's go through the rest of the art. You guys are already funded, so we're into stretch goals, right?
We're hoping to. First stretch goal unlocks at 3,000. Currently, we're almost at 2,000, so I'm hoping we will get there. This is what you're seeing on screen right now, though. This is actually an add-on. It's wallpapers showing off some of the characters in the book there. Oh, look, there's another one of Bill's on the bottom there. If you can zoom in, I don't know how close you can get.
Enhance.
All right, cool.
Enhance.
Yeah. So that's Galatea on the far right and Pangea in the middle. But between Pangea and Galatea is Bill's character, Queenie, and you should ask him about her.
Okay, and he just sent me a rough draft of her. I'll just share that if you guys don't mind. Give me 1 second to switch over. Dun, 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 dun. 1 second. Here we go.
Yeah, these were the pencils that the artist approval originally.
That is pretty cool. Tell us about this character.
Yeah, Queenie is she is the kind of woman that you cannot help but love, and I mean that literally. She exudes a psychic force around her that sort of forces people to fall in love with her. You can't refuse anything that she wants, and she is sort of always surrounded by a mob of adoring henchmen and. She'll walk into a jewelry store and she'll say, "Oh, that's such a beautiful necklace," and the manager will say, "Well, why don't you have it, my dear?" She's completely amoral because she doesn't understand morals at all. She's just her entire life given her things and done things for her. So she's actually a horrible person, but she also doesn't know any better. So you kind of have to both feel sorry for her and hate her at the same time.
She seems like the kind of villain that Spider-Man runs into and has like a whole issue dealing with, and then afterwards he'll like run into her on the way to solving another problem and be like, "I don't have time for you right now."
I'm getting strong Kardashian energy here.
Well, she's really, the thing about Queenie is she is a villain technically, but she doesn't really do all that much evil. Like she takes what she wants in terms of goods, certainly, and you can argue that there's a lot of, she puts people in danger just because they serve her whims and everything. But she's not out to conquer the world or make people suffer. She just wants her life to be nice and easy.
And who doesn't? Who can blame her, really?
She wants all the good things in life, and she will do whatever it takes to get them. But that's all she wants, is just she wants to live a life of luxury.
So let me ask you a question. Mind control has, in some systems, been a real game breaker because it can be challenging for PCs to take on a character who's a strong mind controller. How have you guys created this character to avoid that kind of a hang-up? Sorry, is that a bad question?
No, Bill. I was giving Bill a chance. If he wants me to answer, I can answer.
But I'm trying to think of it. But go ahead, Ross. I might.
So, believe it or not, a lot of this is actually just covered under the Prowlers of Paragons. Under the Savage Worlds also rule set. In that you can. Obviously, bennies can. This is a good place to save your bennies for. Like if you don't want to be mind controlled, just roll until you aren't, basically. But I would actually argue, I think one of the best ways to use Queenie's mind control in a game, a Supers game, would be to look at the GM and say, you know what, she gets me for the next couple of minutes. I help her do something really silly because I'm in love with her, and you get a Benny for that. Like the game master should reward you for playing into her powers and abilities without making it, because again, like if the game master is using her correctly, she wouldn't be asking the hero to do anything horrible. just annoying.
Right.
All right. That's pretty cool. All right, I'm going to shift back to sharing the wallpapers unless there's anything else you want to say about Queenie.
I thought, well, if Bill had anything else to say about her powers and how they work, that's up to him. But
no, you covered it pretty well. It's really, mind control is definitely, like Mike said, it's definitely a power that can be really annoying and really frustrating for players. If the game master plays it right, and if the players are into it, then it can be actually a lot of fun.
Okay. As always, the best advice is know your group and know what they're going to respond well to. So, all right, cool. Let me shift over to the wallpaper. 1 second. Oh, hey, just a second. I got this image up. This episode brought to you by Star Anvil Studios.
Woo!
Look at that logo. My God, that's pretty. So, okay, just wanted to work that in there. And let us go back to the beautiful art for this Kickstarter. And hey, there's a dog in here.
There's several animals because that character is known as Menagerie.
Okay.
And her special ability, her power, is that she can speak to, communicate with, and control animals of all kinds.
Wow. Well, that's pretty cool. Let me check out the rest of the art we have here. Here's the cover again. Once again, beautiful cover. Who's your artist, by the way?
Oh, I can tell you that guy. Just give me a second here. The name of that artist is... I don't have it on the tip of my tongue because I'm not the art director. I believe that is Ben Worrell. That is the cover there, with colors by Kate Finnegan.
Okay, cool. Let me... Hang on. Looks like... I'm going to share the image of your token. We can talk about your tokens. We can talk about these characters. Really cool you guys are doing tokens. I've only just recently become aware that people want VTT tokens for their products and will pay extra for them, because I thought they were just kind of a convenience thing before, but people have been asking for them.
Ever since the pandemic, the ideas of VTTs have been kind of enhanced, and people like having easy to use tokens to show who you're fighting.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about these guys. We have covered Clockwork Man. We've covered Red Dragon.
And we covered Queenie.
Oh, that's Queenie? Okay.
Yep.
Then let's talk about, I'm not going to call him the Scarecrow, but the guy in the middle here who's wearing a hat.
Okay, so that is another one of my characters, and he's a bit unusual in that he is not actually a villain who was present in the prison, but he did inspire the breakout. His name is Hallowjack, and he is a supernatural, almost cosmic entity of fear. Okay. And he likes to spread fear on Earth. He is the guy you use to show up in your Halloween games. Mm-hmm. He has loyal servants and magical effects and can appear in your dreams, things of that nature. He is a pretty dangerous guy just because he doesn't really exist in the regular world like other people do. If you want to do an adventure with a villain, not unlike, say, Dream of the Endless from the Sandman comics, but you want a villainous twist, that's this guy.
That's this guy. All right, that's a pretty cool concept. Who is the dapper fellow below him with the gloves and the pork pie hat?
Well, Bill, you might know this guy. That's Dr. Riot, of course.
Is he a doctor at the?
Oh yeah, that's one of my best friends. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Michael Merrill.
Yeah, one of my best friends created him.
Okay.
And Bill, do you know his deal, or should I say it?
I do know his deal. Am I cutting in and out, or can you hear me okay?
We can hear you, sir.
Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Dr. Riot. Dr. Riot was an army psychiatrist and discovered his power to manipulate people's emotions and touch their minds. And now he sort of became addicted to it. He's outwardly a trusted psychiatrist. He's a doctor, dedicated to helping people and healing them. But really, he wants to. He puts people into crisis situations in order to study change when they're in these dangerous situations. So yeah,
is he on staff at the prison?
He's kind of a sadist, I guess you'd say.
No. He is a prisoner. But he did enjoy taking part in the breakout and making guards fight each other on the way out.
Okay.
By sparking the smallest argument or resentment into a full-on rage.
That's pretty interesting. That's cool. Who is the guy in the purple armor?
That's the Shadow Emperor.
Okay.
So we've talked about characters that run the gamut in terms of their powers and abilities. The Shadow Emperor is not especially powerful, but he is a little bit crazy. He is. I would argue the Shadow Emperor is there for maybe slightly lighter-hearted adventures, because his deal is he is a master ninja who is convinced that he is the rightful emperor of Japan. Oh. And he is doing everything he can to prove to the greater world that he is, in fact, the rightful emperor of Japan. However, he's doing that primarily in America and primarily through the weirdest, craziest schemes you can imagine, because he is a little bit skewed. And he's there to give you that, just like, I want to have an adventure that's a little lighter than our usual fare, but we still come up against a pretty interesting bad guy. And he is that guy that everybody at the table should be like, wow, this dude is off his rocker. But his superpower is he is not only a master ninja, but he can duplicate himself into a small army of master ninjas.
Okay, so maybe he's a guy who attacks the local anime convention, and you have to thwart his evil plans.
I mean, yeah, that's probably a good way to think about it. Is he would have some kind of weird play on that your players would be like, I have no idea how this connects to him being the actual emperor, but okay, sure. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. How about Evil Ram up here at the top?
That is another one of my characters.
Okay.
Her name is Nemesis, and she is a artificial being that is kind of a version of Ultron, if you will. There was a superhero team called Vanguard, and they had built a very special threat room to test their abilities and powers in, run by an AI that was constructed to create challenges for this super team. And a flaw in the programming led to this AI deciding that not just the super team, but all supers everywhere must be challenged, must be given the chance to prove themselves worthy of being heroes, and thus it built itself a body that is heavily armored and super strong and contains like really powerful blaster weapons and can fly and things of that nature. So Nemesis is a living danger room that tracks down any hero she hasn't already met to try and see if they're worthy of being a hero. And if she's defeated, here's the best part, she will figure out how you defeated her, change something so that she's going to beat you next time, and she will track you down again. So she's a great recurring villain as well.
That's pretty cool. So it's kind of like Danger Room in Joss Whedon's X-Men run.
I guess so, yeah.
Wow, that is pretty cool. Just curious, does she have any special connection with Galatea since they're both artificial beings, or not so much?
Not so much. Again, the thing with Nemesis is she was created by heroes. Galatea was created more like created by a character that's more like the Tinkerer, just sort of a guy who builds crazy technology.
Okay, cool. Next slide. Oh, we got poker card. We got poker cards. There's Menagerie. There is the Shadow Emperor. There is Queenie, and a guy we haven't seen yet up here at the top.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Menagerie either.
That's true. We haven't. I see a parrot. I see a monkey, and looks like a French bulldog. Can you tell us about her?
Sure. Although we are kind of running up against our time limits. This might be the last one. But
all right, yeah.
Menagerie is a kind of a take on. She is a take on Poison Ivy.
Mm-hmm.
Menagerie is a woman who gained control over other animals and uses her powers because she passionately wants animals to be free. That she raids testing labs and slaughterhouses and zoos. Any place she feels is treating animals unethically, she will go in with a small army of animals under her command and try to free them and restore a little bit of balance to the natural world. She's actually a really committed, nice woman, an activist, but her abilities often end up with her on the wrong side of the law. So she is a way more sympathetic villain than the rest of these guys because she's honestly acting from a place of goodness. She just is doing it in a way that is highly illegal.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, hey, as you mentioned, we're bumping up against our time limit because we switched this show. It was 30 minutes. Keep it fast, fun, and furious. And
just like Savage Worlds.
Just like Savage Worlds.
Yeah.
Just to sum up before I ask you guys for closing thoughts, tinyurl.com/enemies unleashed. You can check it out. It funded in 5 hours, so you're going to get the thing. There's no question about that. Now you just get to help them unlock some stretch goals, and you got plenty of time to do it. So this is a great time to jump on that bandwagon. Bill, I will give you last words first.
Gosh, I don't know.
Sorry.
It was a lot of fun working with this. Got to work alongside a lot of really cool other creators. Got to see some really cool supervillains. So if you want to have a whole bunch of different, very awesome off-the-wall ideas, check it out.
Okay. And Ross, yours is the final word.
Thank you. Well, I was lead developer on this project, so it is kind of my baby. And all I can say is I'm really proud of everybody that came together to make it. And I feel like it's a great product for anybody who is running superhero games, especially for Savage Worlds, and would like to have some supervillains that are maybe a little bit different from the rest, with a lot of great story info, adventure hooks, whether or not they're redeemable. Just plug and play bad guys, including a narrative thread that ties them all together if that's something that interests you. So check it out.
Sweet. All right, guys, always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks to everyone for checking out the show tonight, and we will catch you next time on Wildcards.